Hey guys, Dennis here, Muddy Water Search and Recovery, and welcome to Sunday Nights Live. Tamara's not going to be able to join us tonight. They are out having dinner with her daughter before she heads off to college. Alex and Tammy are out with family, and Chrissy wasn't able to join us tonight. So we are going to go ahead and do an open discussion on Star Boomer. And Matt, hey man, how you doing? See, Alex had commented over here. Hope all of you guys are doing well. So Star Boomer's case, this is one that is kind of personal for me. I grew up with Star's family. I met Star several times when I was younger. Her nephew was my best friend growing up. Her brother, Mark, which would be Matt's dad, him and his wife, Sharon. Sharon, I talked to multiple times on Star's case. Unfortunately, when COVID was going around so hard, Mark and Sharon, unfortunately, passed away due to COVID, a little less than a week apart. So this family has been through it over the years. So Star, and I'll jump right into this. Star's been missing since February 23rd of 1999. And hey, Joanne, glad to see you're doing well. So Star's been missing since February 23rd, 1999. She was 39 years old when she went missing. 5'4", 140 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. Star visited Uncle Mike's in Kansas City, Kansas. This was a bar, and it was near her own residence. She went there with a roommate, Carolyn Marshall. Carolyn stated that while they were in the bar, a male stranger walked up to Star and threw her off the bar stool for no apparent reason and without speaking to her. Star got up and insisted that she was okay, and the attacker was forced to leave the establishment. Carolyn left after finishing her drink and asked the bartender to keep an eye on Star, who she planned to pick up later that evening. When Carolyn called the bar later that day, she was told that Star had already left with two men and had never been heard from again. Witnesses at the establishment told authorities that she was involved in an altercation with another patron during the evening. The individual is believed to be a career criminal with a history of violent behavior towards women. He allegedly knocked her to the ground and beat her, causing her to lose consciousness. She has never been heard from again. Authorities believe she may have been murdered in the bar and her body hidden in a different location. On October of 1999, two local men, William Eugene Spradden, also went by Gino, and Robert Franklin, who went by Butch Horn, were charged with second-degree murder in Star's case. Both suspects have extensive criminal histories and have served time in prison. The murder charges were later dismissed because over a dozen witnesses to the alleged crime refused to testify against the defendants. Her case does remain unsolved. Now, Star lived in the 1700 block of South 49th Street in Kansas City, Kansas. She was going through a divorce at the time that she went missing and planned to move back in with her parents. She dropped out of Turner High School, but was studying for her GED certificate with plans of becoming a florist. Investigators have taken a new look in recent years, searching various locations for Boomer's body and ripping up the tiles and baseboards at the bar looking for blood stains. Now, this was several years ago that they done this. Authorities are trying to locate a possible witness named Edward. Authorities don't believe Edward was directly involved, but was in the area and at the bar the night that this took place. And they believe he lived or worked in the area and has since moved out of state. Starr left behind a young son who was raised by his grandparents after her disappearance. And of course, law enforcement believes foul play is involved. And Max says, sound like witness intimidation. That it does. And it's troubling. And Mac, I think you would agree with me on this. You know, if we're out in public and we see a guy putting his hands on a lady, as a man, how do you not step in and put a stop to that? That's my first thought, because obviously there were several other men in the bar that night. So these guys, and you know, these guys were well known in the area. Maybe that has something to do with it. I know my dad raised me. If I saw a man put his hands on a lady and I didn't step in and stop him, my dad is going to take a belt to me when I got home. That's something he instilled in me very young. So and maybe that's the reason, but it's hard for me to understand why nobody got involved in this. That is 2 different times in the same night she was physically attacked by men. And this is what the witnesses told law enforcement. Now, back in 2019, KMBC 9 News, it's a local news channel here in Kansas City, they reported that police were at her residence and they used an excavator to dig out the area under where the garage used to be. They used ground penetrating radar. They found what they called an anomaly, but investigators ended up finding that was sand. They did dig where the basement of the home was and continued to use radar with the help of a team from the University of Kansas. So they did have professionals running the equipment. And unfortunately, they didn't find anything. They said they plan to use cadaver dogs in the search as well. Now, I did hear from a family member a while back ago that they did go in with cadaver dogs, and the cadaver dogs made a hit down in the basement. So they brought in ground penetrating radar again, and they did find another anomaly. So they did tear up concrete and they dug down. They did take evidence with them, but they did not find Starr. And we do have multiple locations that we will be searching. The biggest location of interest I have, and when I explained it to Alex, he agreed. Guess it was 3 years ago now, talking with Starr's sister-in-law, Sharon, we started talking about this location, and she actually gave me information on that property that really strengthened my belief that that property could be it. Unfortunately, the owner of that property today instantly denied us access, said absolutely there is no chance they would ever let us come on to do a search. So there's some things I'm working on behind the scenes, and we'll get to the detective in Starr's case to see if maybe they can do something to move forward on. If we could help get enough that they could obtain a warrant, something along those lines. But it sucks when access is denied. We've been denied access on a few different cases. And, all three of these cases, I don't believe it's because the property owner is involved or is like intentionally trying to hide evidence. They just don't want they don't want strangers on their property. But it does get frustrating. We did have, well, first let me go here. Talking with Star's sister-in-law, and again, this is Sharon, who passed away here a while back from COVID. One of the suspects, the truck that he was driving that night, has never been seen since that night. She also told me that one of the suspects and the owner of the truck was actually dating the lady who was the bartender that night, but I've been unable to confirm those reports. So that is definitely something we are still looking into. I did have somebody reach out not long ago with new information on a new location of interest. This person actually went and had maps of the location blown up really big. They drew or wrote all the relevant information they had as far as specific details and actually sent that up to us. Now, this property and the backstory, we have to make sure we've got all of our I's dotted, all of our T's crossed, because if we're given permission to access the property, we may only have one chance at it. So we want to make sure that we know what we're looking at. We know the specific locations on the property. We know what equipment we need. And I think even more importantly is we have something in the works that will give us access to a cadaver dog team. And that cadaver dog team would be so useful, so helpful on that particular property. And Joanne says it sounds a little suspicious that his truck has been incognito. That it does. Now, both of these men and witnesses originally reported them coming in, and the second man showed up. They picked up Star, took her out, and left with her. And that's what some of the witnesses originally reported. Now, a few hours later, the two men come back to the bar and they were covered in what looked like white dust. That also goes along with my original theory and location of interest where we were denied access. But if these men were involved and she was in fact deceased and put in the vehicle, I could see them wanting to get rid of the vehicle because there's going to be evidence left in there. And man, it's now the suspects. I know the suspect that was believed to have been the one to have murdered Star moved out of state. I had reports from family member that could be involved in a 1%er motorcycle club. Again, I can't even say that's unconfirmed for this particular person. So there is a lot going on with all of this. Star's sister ended up going back to school, getting a degree in criminal justice, and becoming a private investigator to better have the tools to try to find Star. And she worked very hard on it for several years, and then unfortunately she passed away. There's been many in that family pass away. Thankfully, so far, Star's mother, Hazel, is still alive. Um, Hazel, I knew well when I was younger. I haven't seen her in quite some time, but just a sweetheart of a lady, and definitely doesn't deserve to go this long since 1999 without knowing where her daughter is. Sorry, going through her file to see if I'm missing anything here. This is normally when Prissy or Alex or Tamara jumps in and I'm able to look through my notes. It is different being the only one on here tonight. Okay. Yeah, we do have some stuff on this that, families' wishes that we did not share publicly. So some of this I cannot get into. Yeah, Star sister Cindy, she passed away in 2019. The cadaver dogs that they were going to call in 2019, they had decided to wait until spring. And I have not been able to find any information on if they did make it out that spring, and if they did, what they may have found. In a statement to Channel 5 News, Detective William Carpenter said, "We know the story, we know what happened to her, and we know who did it. We just need a little bit more information to put it together and get these guys charged. We just need more people to come forward." So if anybody out there sees this that has information on this, please notify law enforcement. If you're uncomfortable doing that, get a hold of us. We can get that information where it needs to go. And as always, our website is the best route to go with that. And the link is over in the video description. I was able to confirm with Star's sister-in-law that no water searches have been done in Star's case, which is really surprising because the Missouri River isn't that far away. And when you get down to it, the Kansas River isn't that far away. In fact, where the Kansas meets the Missouri River, it's pretty close to the area she went missing. The family did hire a private investigator. I have not been able to get in touch with her, but I am continuing to try to get in touch with her. Now, the dust that the two gentlemen had, or the two men had when they come back into the bar, reportedly had dust or lime on their boots when they got back to the bar. And I'm just going through this and trying to share what I can with you guys. Hey, Byron, how's it going? We've been able to go back and look at the water levels from the time that she went missing, the current rate of flow in both the Missouri and Kansas River. We've been able to find access points to where a truck could go into the river. And we've been able to narrow down, and it's really hard when it comes to knowing how long a vehicle will float. But depending on conditions, everything I've read, everything I see, you're looking at 2 to 12 minutes. If the vehicle has a lot of rust, holes in the floor, heavy current with the windows down, it's obviously going to sink a lot quicker. If it's in really good shape, there's not a big current, then it can go longer than 12 minutes. So taking an average time of 2 to 12 minutes, and I've doubled that, we've been able to kind of give us a distance of what we need to look at to see if the truck and possibly Star is in the water. And again, we were able to confirm with Star's sister-in-law that no water searches have been done in Star's case. That's really hard to believe since she went missing in 1999. However, the evidence that, and granted, law enforcement aren't going to share their evidence with any of us. They have to protect the integrity of their case and their investigation. But from what I'm able to see and hear, their evidence points them away from the water. So that could be why the water was never searched. But we do want to search those areas to know for sure if something's there or not. And Byron, that might be another good one to bring you and your boat in on and help us sonar and get those locations cleared. Let's see here. Oh, another interesting thing is the bartender who was working that night, who was allegedly dating the main suspect, her car was actually found burned a very short time after Star went missing. It's just, even with witness intimidation, the fact that there's over a dozen witnesses and not enough that nobody stepped in to stop the assault on a lady, but then to get scared to testify, to put these people behind bars, just it blows my mind. And Byron, we'll have to do that because the other case that you and I had talked about, maybe if I say golf course, maybe that'll trigger it for you. But I want to get in touch with you and figure out some dates that we could all go get those searches done and possibly line up some searches on this. And we have some searches for Randy Leach that would be great to have another boat out there as well. So as far as my notes go, that's basically all I've got in there that I can say publicly right now. And I say that, but when Star is found and we're able to, like any other case that we've got to keep information kind of confidential, whenever we can, we will get that information out to you guys. We don't want to keep you guys in the dark, but some things it takes us longer to be able to say out in public. Catfish, hello, all you beauties and gents. Yep, Catfish late for a change. Catfish, you've actually been late the last couple times. I was going to send out a search crew for you. So again, Star Boomer, you know, her family never gave up on her. Her mom has not given up on her. Her nephew that I grew up with, was best friends with, he hasn't given up on her. I just actually was messaging with him the other day, and just, man, I've talked with so many family members through all of this who are missing a loved one. And I mean, you feel the pain, you hear it in their voice, you see it on their face. And yet, even with that, knowing that I still don't feel the same extent of pain that these families go through with a missing loved one. And missing since 1999, that is a long time to be hurting. Nobody deserves to go missing like that. So changing the subject real quick, Catfish, have you been able to go back out and do a search on that property that you mentioned to me not long ago? I know Catfish has gone out and he's done some searches for some missing people. And while I'm thinking about it, Byron, I did talk to some people at work about a computer, and they are going to keep their eyes and ears open and let me know if they hear of any for sale. Now, we are planning to do a candlelight vigil February 3rd on National Missing Persons Day. And we're going to have like the brown lunch sacks, but we're going to write the missing person's name on those. And we're going to use the flameless candles and do a candlelight vigil with those. We'll announce once the location and everything has been confirmed. We'll announce where it'll be. It will be open to the public, but Star, we are definitely going to have one out for her. Catfish, not lately, Dennis. Been having issues with my legs while walking. Oh man, that ain't no good. We need you healthy. Hopefully those issues can be fixed soon and make life easier on you. And Byron says, yes, I would love to be able to find that one for sure. So we do have searches coming up before long. Star Boomer, obviously, Randy Leach, Billy and Mary Black. Later this fall, Crystal Kipper. That one, there's a whole reason on the timing of that. There's a chance Cole Firestein. I'm trying to get these names off the top of my head, and there is so many. We have another one outside of St. Joe, Missouri, another one inside St. Joe, Missouri. So we have a lot of searches. Catfish says part of getting old, I think. Oh man, I must be getting old too, because I'm starting to creak a lot as I'm walking. Yeah, I'm going to pull Star up one more time here. And again, missing since February 23 of 1999, 39 years old when she went missing. And by she went missing, we're talking being physically assaulted and two men basically dragging her out of a bar, loading her up and taking off with her. Still chaps my hide that there wasn't a man to get involved to put a stop to that. And Byron, I have one found in St. Louis, but don't want to take the chance of sending money. And yeah, that is a big risk. WD-40. So guys, if you have any theories, any suggestions in Star's case, please reach out to us and let us know. Byron says, so if anyone has a contact in the St. Louis area that's trustworthy, please get with me. And for those who don't know what's going on there, Byron is looking for a specific model of laptop computer, and he needs it for his research into missing persons cases. And, you know, with Byron's background, he needs to be working on these cases. I'll put it that way. I think he will do a lot of good and be able to bring a lot of missing people home. So he needs a computer. And Byron, can you put in there what kind of computer it is again? Anytime you can find somebody willing to put in the time, the effort, and the work to do this, you know, it goes a long ways with me anyway. And talking with Byron, I've got no doubt he wants to do this for the right reasons. He wants to do this to help the families find answers and bring their loved ones home. He's actually got some equipment that he has offered to let us use if needed. He's offered to come out and help on searches too. We're talking boats with motors, even sonar. He is a certified diver. He's got all of his dive equipment. So he's ready to bring missing loved ones home. So if you have any thoughts, theories, anything on Star's case, please reach out to us. Let us know. It doesn't matter if it seems insignificant. I'm sure Byron and Catfish both will agree with me here that many times it's the smallest detail that cracks one of these cases open and brings the missing loved one home. So there is the computer that Byron is looking for. So if you know somebody in the St. Louis area who's trustworthy, or if you happen to know or hear of one of these for sale in the, let's say, the Kansas City area, please let Byron know. If you don't have his contact, get a hold of me, and I will get that information over to Byron, or I will get you guys in contact. But let's do what we can to help him get that computer so he's able to do a lot more of this. I think there is a lot of good that will come from Byron when it comes to the missing persons community. I didn't realize the cats were in here. So, guys, with that, don't forget this coming Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, will be the first Tuesday night live feed that we do. And this will take place every Tuesday night. This particular live feed, I want to try to keep underneath half an hour tops, depending on what we're talking about. But it's basically the live feed where we will be doing our updates with you guys, going over anything that we need to go over, with Sunday nights being dedicated to missing persons cases. So don't forget, this Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And guys, I think I am going to go ahead and call it a night. This is the first live feed on a Sunday night that got done early, I think. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing you guys. Catfish says, oh yeah, the Summer Wells case has been reopened. Now, I'll have to go in and check, but I think the Amber Alert for Summer Wells never closed. As far as the case goes, there was really no, I don't want to say no action, because I'm sure somebody's been working on it behind the scenes, but there has been no updates other than this from Catfish coming from law enforcement on her case. And that does get concerning, because many times when there's nothing coming out, that's when those cases start going cold. So to see Catfish saying that has been reopened again, that is awesome. So guys, with that, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you Tuesday night. You guys stay safe.